Hello, welcome back to another amazing session here at Arize. My name is Aparna, one of the founders here at Arize. And today we have probably one of the hottest names in agents and in generative joining us today, founder of BabyAGI Yohei. Welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of Observe.
Thank you for having me. It's been a fun month, to say the least.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you. Could you introduce yourself and a little bit of your background?
Yeah, I'm what I call a VC by day, builder at night. I run Untapped Capital, an early stage pre-seed venture firm. We invest in all sorts of industries. We're generalist. One of the things I like to do is I like to get my hands dirty and build as a way to learn about new technologies and meet founders.
Awesome. I feel like that's rare, especially in the VC world. So the last 30 days have probably been insane for you. Could you tell us the story of where you started with task-driven autonomous agents and in kind of that library that you put out, and then how you started building BabyAGI?
Yeah, so when it comes to building with AI, I probably started building on top of GPT-3 around August last year.
Okay.
We built a lot of tools just as experiments. Some of the tools we built we use internally at Untapped. Some of it we exposed to our portfolio founders, our LPs, and some of them are more kind of general open tools for founders. This most recent one was probably experiment number 70 when it started.
Wow.
I was looking at Hustle GPT movement, which is really cool, where people are saying I have $100 and using ChatGPT as a co-founder. And I wanted to participate, but I just didn't have time. And that got me thinking, could I just build an AI founder to just do this without me being part of it? And so that was what started it. And I basically thought about how I do tasks, right? I have a task list. I'm easily distracted. So I always start at the top of my task list and just go down and then add stuff during the day. And then at the end of the day, I reorganize my task list. So when I wake up in the morning, I can just start at task number 1. So in my mind, there is the task execution version of me, the task creation agent, which is the one that creates new tasks as they come up. And then the prioritization agent, which is me at the very end of the day when I reprioritize my tasks. And so I used ChatGPT to prototype it, and I shared a demo on Twitter, and that was initially shared as like quote unquote AI founder, but people started calling it AGI.
Wow, that's amazing. I feel like I've been seeing just all these demos on Twitter of now people trying to use BabyAGI and using it for their own use cases. What are some cool things you've seen people build with BabyAGI?
I mean, some of the demos I've tried that are really cool are the web-based versions, sometimes with human in the loop. God mode is pretty cool to play with. Instead of just running autonomously, it suggests the task and you kind of approve and push things through. But there's a couple other, Agent GPT and a couple others that have been pretty interesting to play with. There's another one where someone's using a modified BabyAGI to build NLPs to kind of walk around an RPG actual game engine.
Wow.
So yeah, and then a lot of really cool stuff around kind of people using it for research in the science space.
Wow. Okay, I gotta ask you the question of the day. Why'd you call it BabyAGI? Like really great name. What was kind of the inspiration behind it?
So it was my friend Jenny, Jenny AI on Twitter. She was actually the first person to be like, bro, did you just build a BabyAGI? Like in response to me sharing my founder. And it just kind of stuck.
Oh,
So
wow.
after I showed the demo and it kind of became popular, I was like, oh, I need a research paper. Like I want to, like that's the way to do it. So I threw the code into ChatGPT and asked it to write a research paper, and it named it the task-driven autonomous agent. And then there was a lot of questions and kind of people asking if I was going to open source it, which I wanted to do, but task-driven autonomous agent was a mouthful. So I picked the first nickname that was given it by Jenny, BabyAGI, which I thought was a cute name. And I knew that, it was divisive. So that's the one I chose.
That it's awesome naming. Well, let's jump into a little bit of kind of the, how you built it and kind of how, how'd you build BabyAGI? So we noticed that the BabyAGI code base is actually really small. and most of the lines of codes are actually prompts. Is this a statement of, I couldn't help but start thinking, well, this is a statement of how the future of apps might be built. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, as a quick backstory, the task-driven autonomous agent actually had LangChain, and I even got Zapier NLA working in the execution agent, which was really cool because it could do things like search the web, add to files. But really, for me, BabyAGI was really an introduction to a framework. So I actually stripped out all of that when I released the code base, and I tried to pare it down as little as I could, and I got it down to, I think it was 150 lines, but it was only 105 lines of code, including prompts. And the reason was I wanted to share the framework. So I thought just using prompts as all three was probably the best way to introduce the framework, which then people could swap out for their own execution agent or whatnot. But really the whole point was to introduce the framework, which is why it was mostly, I think, using prompts instead of any other actions.
Got it. Okay. And there's kind of those three agents, which I think you explained really well, where there's the actual execution agent, there's the task creation agent, and then there's that prioritization agent. How, how will people, or have you seen people kind of build their prioritization agent? Like, what does that entail? Is it based off of, what is there scores that's given? Like, can you give us an example of what a prioritization agent might do?
Yeah, well, but the prioritization agent initially was actually just a deduping agent because I saw it making a whole bunch of tasks, but then I realized if it's going to dedupe anyways, I might as well just ask it to like reprioritize to do the first task. I've seen some people do kind of tasks and subtasks. So kind of defining, either creating subtasks within a task to break it down, or creating kind of relationships where you have to finish one task after another. And then I think most recently I saw one that's also assigning difficulty to the task as well. So I think there's a couple of different approaches in terms of task prioritization where you could, if you can do task serialization where you know which task has to be done before another, then you can actually run parallel tasks that don't rely on each other. So there's that version of like having multiple agents. Or if you break tasks into subtasks, I've seen a model where basically having agents create new agents to just do the subtasks within the task. So you kind of have these like manager agents on top.
Got it. Okay.
And I think, just to touch on the simplicity of BabyAGI, I think there's a lot of different opinionated ways in which you can evolve a simple framework like BabyAGI, right? Which is what we're seeing. And one of the things I'm most interested in is the conversation around the different approaches people are taking it. So we'll continue to grow the BabyAGI code base, but one of the things I'm really interested in is just making sure we're tracking and following all the different iterations of it so that we can talk to each other about like, oh, why did you do it that way? How did it work? And then people can learn from each other versus, building in a silo.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that, to be honest, was really novel to me as I was going through it was that prioritization agent. Because in the past, the agents, you really had to kind of give it step by step what you want them to do, and this is kind of the order that you want the execution in. It was just really novel to think about, well, why not have, why not give the ability to prioritize, kind of flexibility there, or kind of reprioritize, or be smart about it. And that was really novel for kind of me. There was that generative paper that had come out, I think now 2 weeks ago. The one with like the simulation.
Yeah, the Westworld simulation.
That's the Westworld cool. Simulation, yes. And in that paper, they talked about kind of the memory and the three components: the memory and retrieval, the reflection, and then kind of action and planning, and kind of these three kind of components. Have you seen people, at least in the prioritization agent today, start to do kind of some of what they reference in that paper, where they look at long-term memory and then use that to reflect and then come up with any examples you've seen of users do that?
We do have memory in BabyAGI. Okay. We store past tasks and we retrieve the most relevant ones to create new tasks to hopefully minimize to some extent repetitiveness, which is absolutely not solved. I have heard of people wanting to implement reflection although I'm not sure exactly where that goes. I think when we used LangChain in the execution agent, right, they had the reflection agent built in. So that was pretty interesting that worked. I think there's various ways to add reflection, which I'm definitely seeing, especially when it comes to like code, to like review the code before executing or reviewing the errors.
Got it. Okay. And how does how does the memory and retrieval work in BabyAGI today?
So right now it's pretty rudimentary. Like the version I had was really just to show that how to use the memory. So right now it's just storing the task names, I think, not even the results in Pinecone. I think actually we switched to Chroma recently. And then when it's about to execute a task, we pull in the 5 most relevant task names so it knows what it's completed before. So it completes it in a new way. And then when it's creating new tasks, we also pull in the 5 most relevant tasks so it hopefully creates tasks that are different from past tasks that have been completed.
Got it. Okay. Understood. Super interesting. Okay, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. When you were iterating on the prompts for the execution agent, the task creation agent, and the prioritization agent, how often have you iterated on those prompts? Do you see people kind of still continuing to iterate on them?
I haven't iterated on it much. There was some iteration at the beginning when I created it, but I think I kept it pretty straightforward and simple. I did like 0 shot on all of them. Again, because what I really wanted was to give something that people could build on top of. And I wanted it to be as like not opinionated when I give it to them. And I think that's what inspired a lot of people. I had a lot of people reach out who hadn't coded in a long time saying your BabyAGI got me to code. And I think it was partially that when people saw that code, they immediately thought of things they would want to do with it. And I think that's what was really exciting about BabyAGI's code.
Got it. Can you give me some examples of just what people have, put, just for maybe for our audience here too, like some examples of what people have put in the execution agent, in the task creation agent, and then the prioritization agent? Like how do they think of what to put where?
Full transparency, I haven't reviewed the code bases of a lot of the tools that are being built.
Got it.
The first ones I can think, I mean, LangChain actually went in because my LangChain integration into execution agent was kind of sloppy, but I shared the code with Harrison and I think he used that as a base. But LangChain published a kind of a demo, a version of BabyAGI where you have LangChain as the execution agent. I think that's pretty powerful. Also, if you stick Zapier NLA in there, you can access anything that Zapier has access to. So that's pretty powerful. And I know a few people have put the ability to write and execute code in the execution function. So that's pretty interesting. Honestly, I don't know too much about what people have been doing around the prioritization. I just honestly, I'm not fully caught up on the conversations happening, but they are happening.
That must be cool. People are doing it in a very cool. Yeah. How has that been for you, just to kind of see how it's taken off and the kind of communities?
It's been really fun to watch. It's moving really fast. Right, definitely wasn't expected when I started because it was just another experiment. But it's been a really great way to meet a lot of founders, a lot of VCs, and what's funny is I actually took a 10-day family trip that I came back from last Wednesday. So I tried to stay off of Twitter, but it was impossible. There was just too much happening.
Nice. Where do you, okay, a little bit of meta question for you, that you're in the space, so deep in the space. Where do you see the future of agents? I mean, there's kind of some stuff today where people are building, and then there's kind of some far-fetched stuff from like the Westworld paper and maybe gaming applications, but where do you see real world use cases or applications for agents going?
Well, I think it's helpful to clarify that agents aren't new, right? Like LangChain's been using the agent. I think BabyAGI was interesting just because it never stopped, right? But it's really just the same concept. And we have a couple of agent type tools we use internally, right? We have one that drafts an investment memo for us based on a URL. It scrapes the website, it pings product in API, Crunch-based data built with. Where it goes, I think initially we'll see a lot of specific tailored agents of sorts that people might use internally or for their own purpose, because it's easier to build something for yourself than for other people. And then as those start working, we're seeing some people will start building tools for other people to use. Again, I think they'll start specialized because it's easier to fine tune the prompts. It's easier to pick the databases they should look at. And then in parallel, as we learn how to build these well, you'll see a couple people building generic ones that will probably do simple tasks. And then over time, maybe learning from the specialized agents, the general agent will become better and better. But it's going to take a little while until you have an agent that can just do anything, I think. But again, a while could be 3 months, 6 months, 3 years. I don't know.
Got it. You're right. A while.
I feel like with autonomous agents, we're in like the beginning of the hype cycle, right? Where everyone's excited. It's already almost at the peak, and then there's going to be a little winter before really, useful tools come out. Just with AI, I just don't know how long the winter is going to be. It could be 3 weeks. I know.
This is the winter. We're living in the winter right now.
Yeah, right now. Like people are already disappointed that BabyAGI can't do everything for them. Like it was not supposed to. It's supposed to build on it.
Yep. What I guess just seeing the people adopt agents has I'm clearly in observability. It's got me thinking about, well, now you have agents acting autonomously. How do you think about how do you think about observability or really visibility into what these autonomous agents are doing today or could do in the future? Any thoughts there?
I mean, it's important, obviously. As with any technology, any automations, I'm a huge Zapier guy. Right? I've tens of thousands of zaps running. Any of them could do damage technically, but with autonomous agents where you're letting the computer decide what to do, the risk is obviously higher, especially if you start giving it capabilities like even sending money or whatnot. I think it's important to understand the risks of the specific use case you're using it for, right? And understand where it might all go wrong. Make sure you have human in the loop as you're testing it, and then only remove the human in the loop to let it run on its own when you have a certain confidence level, with setting monitors to make sure that you catch any potential errors. And hopefully you thought of all the potential errors it could run into.
Yep. Well, I guess, you could probably even ask chat, GPT to help you,
It would give you a more thorough answer than what I just gave you.
No. But I think
what's funny is building this. There's an aspect to it. It's just more of an analogy that feels like building a Rube Goldberg machine. Those machines where like you let a ball go and you just kind of keeps going, and then if it falls off the task like the track, you kind of have to rebuild the track and you have to start from the beginning.
Yeah. I think there's probably not a place where observability and observability for AI becomes more important as we think about agents and these agents acting autonomously than ever before. So I'm deeply interested in kind of what you think around tools or approaches that people have. You been following the kind of LLM evaluation or LLM assisted evaluation space, and any thoughts there?
I've followed, interestingly, but mostly from like is there a better model I should be playing with perspective?
Got it.
But I do know I think that's important. And I've seen a couple of tools that build monitoring layers on top of these APIs, which I think are interesting. I think they're initially starting more from like a monitor cost perspective, which is definitely important for auto agents type stuff. I do think, just to go back a little bit earlier, I think, God mode that I mentioned, I was playing around actually earlier today, so it's fresh in my mind, but I really like that they give me the tasks that they come up with, and then I get to choose which tasks, and then before it executes, it asks me if I want to execute. I can approve the plan or I can add my own comments. I can see that human in the loop as a really good way to make sure the agent is doing what I want, but also using it as training data to make sure it does it kind of similarly in the future. So I think that's a pretty interesting approach. Just build human feedback as a UI layer, but then make sure you're collecting data in a way that can help help it act that way in the future better.
Yeah, fine tune it over a period of time. Well, awesome. I got one more question for you as we wrap up the session. So, AutoGPT has over 100K plus GitHub stars. Okay, well, first, are you suspicious that there's an agent created to drive the GitHub stars? Or really, how is it so popular? It's already surpassed PyTorch. What do you think is behind the popularity?
I mean, I think the idea of autonomous agents really caught people's imagination. What's funny is AutoGPT. I was looking. He'd been working on it before BabyAGI. I think it was kind of slowly reaching to like 40 stars, and then after I released the task-driven autonomous agent research paper, it shot up. I think people just really liked the idea. And again, when I released the paper, there was a lot of attention, but I didn't open source BabyAGI for probably a week after that, just because it wasn't clean enough. And I think during that time, AutoGPT became the industry term, which is great. So I think that's a big part of it. And also BabyAGI, even as much as popularity as it got, people quickly realized it can't do much, right? People wanted a full-blown solution, so they were looking for something more complete. And what he's built is impressive. So I think the idea of autonomous agents is just really exciting for people. It inspired creative ideas.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on where BabyAGI goes. Actually, maybe you can answer that. What's next for BabyAGI? Where are you planning on investing in?
We don't know, right? We're exploring. I brought on recently Fraser, who was the ex-head of product in OpenAI, to help us look at BabyAGI. Right? There's a community behind it, and so we're gonna see where it takes us.
That's amazing. Well, good luck to you both. I think we're all going to keep an amazing eye on BabyAGI, and thank you so much for being a part of Observe and kind of sharing some of the, what's happening on the ground with autonomous agents. We're all very excited about the space.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Awesome. Well, cool. If anyone else wants to follow along or see where what Yohei's up to, Yohei, where's the best place to follow you?
To follow BabyAGI on Twitter. I think it's at BabyAGI_. And we'll soon be opening up our Discord. We're just cleaning it up right now. So you'll see it on Twitter first, probably.
Awesome. We'll follow along and we'll keep posted. Thank you so much, Yohei.
Thank you.